What is good, designers? It's your boy Merpix here with another, or in this case, his first actual video on this channel. Well, let's go. So the plan for today's video, as you can see in the title, is to create kinda like a brand design, team design, Call of Duty sniping team design, or maybe become it to be like a whole series on how to create a brand or like the team design from the ground up. Since I've been noticing a lot of people, especially designers, that are quite kind of struggling with the whole theory and stuff behind it, and since I personally would say that I kind of now know exactly how everything works and how to actually design the stuff, I thought, why not just share my whole experience to you guys, so you guys know how exactly things should or could work. But without any further ado, let's get straight to it. Alright, so to start things off, I'm gonna show you guys how to create an AVI or Avatar PSD, skipping the whole process of making the logo. If you guys want to have a video on that, I can definitely do that, but there are many different tutorials on YouTube on here that you guys can check out on how to create a logo. For now though, we will just pretend that our client has already sent us a logo PNG file, since that's kind of the most common case. So to finally get it started, as you can see, I got the logo from the client. In this case, it's a logo type I made for a client back in the day as a PNG file, just like as it is right here. That's the most common case for most of the client work I have done in the past. So you're gonna of course want to download that. I personally have already did that, as you can see right here. And then what you want to do is open up Affinity. Okay, but why Affinity? Why not Illustrator? What the fuck is going on? I get you guys, but in this specific case, Affinity is a free-to-use program. It just recently got released. You all probably have already heard of it. And especially for what we're gonna do here, this is kinda the best thing to do if you don't have a running Adobe subscription. Because what we're now gonna do in order to create the AVI PSD, we're gonna now drag and drop the PNG into our existing Affinity project file. We're gonna see we have it all set up here right now. We got the logo PNG right in here, and we're gonna resize it, holding down left control, and bringing it into the center of the screen, as you can see right here. You might be asking yourself why we're doing this in another program right now, and this is exactly what I'm gonna answer for you right now. Because in order for us to make a common AVI PSD, we're gonna want to have a 3D object, which we can then export and put into Photoshop, so we can work on it and make it a real PSD. Right, now the thing is, we're gonna work with Blender later on. Blender does only take SVG files, so basically the most common logo file type there is, and that's exactly what we're gonna do here right now. So we have the PNG here right here set up, and we're gonna head over on top of here where it says vector. We're gonna click on that, and we're gonna go and do the image trace. You're gonna see a new window pop up on the bottom right here where it says image trace. You can pretty much fiddle around with all the settings, but I usually just leave them on default and then click on apply. What it's gonna do, you will actually instantly see in the layers tab over here on the right, you will have now curves. This is exactly what makes an SVG file stand out, since SVG files don't work with pixels but with actual anchor points, locations, and all the math behind it. So it's infinitely scalable, and that's exactly why it's the most common used logo file type. And now that we have it all set up right here, we're gonna now head over to the export section up here in the right corner, click on the little arrow over here and change the PNG to SVG, if I'm gonna find it, for export. There it is. You're gonna click it, we click export, and choose when we want to save it. And just like that, we got ourselves a handy dandy SVG file of the PNG logo our client sent us. Once that's done, you can pretty much close out of Affinity and get cracking over into Blender. Arrived in Blender, for me it's the version 4.4.3, so for you everything might look slightly different, but for most of the stuff we're gonna do, it's gonna work exactly like I do it right here. So we have our default setup of Blender when we first open it, with the little cube, the camera, and the little light over here. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna drag a little box over it and then just press delete on our keyboard to get rid of it, and we have a blank space to work with. Now of course we want to have a logo in here, so what we're gonna do is to head over to File, Import SVG, and then locate the logo we just exported with Affinity. In my case, I got it right here, and click import SVG. Now you want to just scroll in with your mouse wheel until you see your logo in Blender. Now we have a logo right here. and we can actually start to extrude and all that kind of stuff to get it set up so we can export it and then throw it into Photoshop. Before we can do that though, we're gonna make sure that everything is set up the correct way and we don't have any problems in the future. So in my specific case, my logo has several different shapes that are separate from each other. We wouldn't want to join them together to be one thing to be editable. So we click on one thing, we hold shift down, click on the other, and select all the shapes in our logo. Then we can let go of shift, right click the thing and click join or Control J. Now we have everything set up in just one single thing and we can start to scale it up. So we have our logo here, we select it, we press S on our keyboard to scale, and just move our mouse to the scale we want. It's pretty much up to you what scale you want to have. Now we have the joined and scaled up thing right here, but as you can see, the middle of the file is here, so that's not really right, is it? You got it right. What you want to do is right click the logo and look where it says set origin and set the geometry to origin. Now we have the whole thing, and now we have a logo in the center of the whole thing. So we have that set up now, and we can go ahead and add a little camera to the whole thing. So we have the one point of view, which we can then export with. And we're going to do that by clicking over here where it says view, click on viewpoint and then front. Then you're going to want to press shift and A to bring up the add menu and click on camera to add a new camera. Then to rotate over here on the viewport, you can click the middle mouse button and move it around. And this way you can just orbit around the whole thing, which makes it a whole lot easier to navigate through it all. Then in Blender as well, there's a couple other tutorials on how to use Blender, of course. On the left side over here, we have all our tools, and it might be on scale, rotate, or move, or even transform. You're going to want to have it on move, so you can move it with the green handle over here, move it a bit over here, and then on the right side, right over here, you have the little camera icon. You can click it and then you have the POV of the camera you're working with. Of course, now we don't see our logo anymore because it hasn't been extruded yet. So first what we're going to do to actually see the logo in the camera, we're going to click it, and on the right over here, we have this little box that's surrounded with like 4 arrows basically, which says object. We're going to click that and then go to the rotation, and on the x-axis we're going to click it and type in 90%. This way we have the logo exactly facing towards the camera, and when we go back into the camera view, we can see the whole logo just like it is and can finally get to extruding the whole thing. So that's exactly what we're going to do now. We head over to the logo, we click on it, we select it, we make sure it's selected, and we head over to the right side once again, and we will be able to find this data icon. It's basically like a path, more or less, since we're working with a curve over here. And we're gonna want to click on that, search for geometry, and over there you have extrude. You can now extrude it all. You can press and hold it down and then move the mouse to the left or right to extrude the whole thing. I think about 0.02 is kind of the right way to go here with. Though that of course depends on the size you have and of course the logo you have. So now that we have the extruded logo over here, we're gonna switch back into the camera view over here, and we can see it's not quite as nice of an extrusion as we really would want it to be. So we click it again, and we're gonna up the extrusion a slight bit, maybe to 0.04 or something. Now you might be wondering, okay, but now this is all like a wallpaper, but I want to have it in a 1:1 aspect ratio so I can use it as a profile picture, or in this case, the AVI PSD. And you're correct with that. Let me show you how to do that. So in the right side over here, we have our render options and our output. We're gonna click on output, this little image thingy. We're gonna click it, and we make sure that the resolution is set to 2000 by 2000. Some people even crack it up to 4K, but I'm not gonna get into that right now. So we're gonna put it to 2000 by 2000 or 1000 by 1000, depends on you. In this case, the bigger the size, the bigger the file, and the harder it is to work with it all. So now you can see we have this all set up in a 1:1 scale in a perfect square. Now we pretty much have it done already, but as you may already know, a PSD file, or like an AVI PSD with a logo, has usually the 3D and the 2D layers. so you can adjust them and work on them however the designer wants to. But right now we only have the 3D layer, and this is exactly where things get a bit messy, but I'm gonna direct you right through it and it will be easy as nothing. So what you want to do is click on the logo again and find an angle you want to have the logo at. Some people might want to do it like this or like this or like that, whatever. In my specific case, I will just tilt it upwards a bit, maybe like that. Yeah, like that looks kind of cool, and overall get it into a position that you're comfortable with, that you would want to use with the logo. Now we have that all set up, and we can go ahead and create the 2D layer we all are now wanting. So what I'm going to do is I'm gonna click on the logo again, make sure it's selected, and on the top right over here we have all the different little icons, and the second one over here with this little arrow facing out of the circle, there's a little arrow right beneath it which says gizmos. We're gonna click on that. We make sure object gizmos isn't on default but on local. This enables us to have, as you can see, this little gizmo here, that's what it's called with the 3 arrows. Normally it would be on global, and you would have the global axis of everything, which we don't want to have because we want to make sure that the 2D layer is on top of the 3D layer, so in the end everything works out pretty perfect. So as I said, you're gonna go here, object gizmos local, and once you have that, you're gonna make sure it's selected, and you're gonna press Control C to copy. Yeah, so somehow my CPU thought it would just break down on me, so the audio for the rest of the video is kind of corrupted. I'm sorry, but I guess for this video at least you will kind of have to live with it. I'm sorry, but anyways, let's keep it rolling, and Control V to paste it back in. So now we have our 2 different 3D layers. That's of course not what we want though, so we're gonna have to go once again where we just extruded the logo into the data while it's selected, and we're gonna make sure the extrude is back to 0. Just like that, we now have our 2D layer right over here. And since we set up the gizmo to be local, we can just adjust it right to where we want it to be sitting right on top of the 3D logo we have right here. Now pretty much everything is already done. We just need to render it out. So how we're going to do that, we're going to go ahead and hit the render tab over here, click on film, and set it to transparent. This way, when we're rendering, the whole background is already removed for us, and we have just the logo files to work with. So now we switch over to the render mode, or as they call it, the viewport shading, right here in the upper right corner where we just selected the gizmos with the 4 little balls. The last one, we're gonna click that, and with that you're already seeing the checkable pattern is where things are transparent, where you don't see anything, and of course our logo file right here. So now we have everything set up, we just need to export it. And how we're gonna do that, you may ask? I'm gonna show you right now, and you're gonna wanna head to the render thing over here and click render image. This will bring up the rendering thingy over here, and we have the full 3D layer as it is done. Now we have to save it down. We're not done yet. We're gonna click on image over here in the upper left corner. We're gonna click save as and select the folder we want to have it in. For my specific case, I'm gonna just select downloads right here. We're gonna give it a name down here. In my case, we'll just call it 3D, and we can click save as image. Now we have the 3D layer fully rendered, but now we just need the 2D layer to be done with. So we're back in the viewport now that we closed the rendering tab. We can click right on the 3D layer that we have, and it will select it for us, and we will hit delete on our keyboard to get rid of that, and you will see what we're left with, only the 2D layer. And we're going to want to do exactly what we just did. Head over to render image, have our 2D layer rendered for us, and then we're going to hit save as once again and call it 2D or whatever you want to call it, really. We're going to hit save as image, and we're pretty much done. We can now finally proceed to the part we've all been waiting for, Photoshop. So now in the Photoshop, we're going to remind ourselves what we just rendered, or the resolution we just rendered, if you may have put it to 1000 by 1000 or 2000 by 2000 or you name it, because that's what we're going to need now for creating the new file. So we're going to click here on new file and make sure to have the width and height to be exactly what we just put there for the rendering settings in Blender. This way we can prevent everything from being messed up when we put in our files into the whole thing. and we're gonna hit create. Just like that, we now have our canvas right here. It says background right here. We of course want to have it black. So what I'm gonna do is hit this lock icon right here to unlock the layer and hit Control I to invert the whole thing. Now we can head over to the folder in which our 2D and 3D layers are saved, and we can just select them both, drag and drop them into our canvas over here, and hit enter 2 times. This way it creates 2 smart objects for us with the 3D and the 2D layer, and that's pretty much it. We can now save it down and we would have the perfect logo AVI Avatar PSD. But of course the most common thing is to now just add a little like text on the bottom or wherever, so any designer can just open up the PSD, change the name, and that's it. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna create a text layer. I will just assume that y'all are already familiar with Photoshop and how that works. And the most common font we're gonna use here is Helvetica or Helvetica if you already have it. In my case, it's Helvetica. It will be linked down in the description below. We're going to click on that, and in the properties tab, it might be in a different spot for you, since I set up my whole workspace to look a bit more different. You're going to want to scroll down until it says paragraph, and click on the middle icon where it says center text. This way, as you might have guessed already, the text that we just created is now centered within its boundary box. So whenever you type anything in, the text just stays centered. Exactly how we want it. We want to gonna put name right here, and maybe, which is also a common thing you see on any AVI PSD, is a little curvature to the whole thing. So you're gonna want to select it again and hit Control T for transform, and on the top here you see this little curvature thingy, or whatever you want to call it. It's like a grid basically. You're gonna want to click it and you will see that now there's a little grid on the whole thing, and it automatically has a warp over here which says arc. You can click on it and change it around, but arc is the most common thing. And you're gonna want to hand over to the den thing over here and hover over the text and just click and drag, and you will see that the text layer we just created got itself a little arc to it. Now we can proceed and just click on this check mark over here, and we're pretty much done. We have everything we need. We can adjust the text to be a bit bigger or on another position or whatever, but whoever now wants to use it all can just open up the PSD, change the name to be whatever. In my case, for example, Merpix, and just like that, you just created yourself the perfect AVI PSD. So that pretty much already wraps up the whole video for today. If you want to see more videos on all this kind of stuff and actually make it into a series, just let me know down below in the comments, and I will get to work and maybe put out another video or 2. For now though, I will just call it a day for myself and get back to working on my client work. For you guys, happy designing, and let's see each other in the next video.